There were 2 open meetings a week, held after the day's work on the trading floor was finished, usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The 90-minute meetings were usually run by, in order of rank, a partner, a managing director, or a tribunal of 3 angry vice presidents, sitting imperiously at a table at the front of the room. Depending on the personal style of the people in charge, the meetings could be brutal. They were always intense. Open meetings started at 6 p.m. on the dot, not 6:01 or 6:02. There were always 3 or 4 interns who got there at 6:03 or 6:05. They were almost always made to wait outside. If too many people arrived late, we would all have to come in at 5 the next morning for a makeup meeting. The partner would also show up at 5 a.m. Once again, if you arrived at 5:05, you were made to wait outside. This rule was strictly enforced. There were people who just couldn't get there on time, and it reflected poorly on them. The interns sat behind long tables arranged in rows. On the tabletop in front of you, you'd place a pad of paper containing your preparatory notes. At the head of the room, the person in charge, armed with a list of all the interns' names, would kick off the meeting by cold calling people, just picking names at random. Out at the rows of tables, every intern was praying, "Please don't let it be me." I was nervous but ready. My strategy was to volunteer very quickly whenever I knew the answer to a question. Then those running the meeting would be less likely to pick on me later for an answer I didn't know. Some people seemed totally unfazed by being called on, but several, male and female, seemed undone by the experience. VP pointing. "Okay, 3rd row, 2nd seat over. Stand up and state your name." Intern standing slowly. "Bryn Thomas, Brown University." VP, firmly. "Tell me about Microsoft stock. What is our house view? What does our research analyst think?" Intern, caught off guard. I think we like it. VP, now angry. "Come on, you should know these answers cold. Microsoft is one of the biggest and most important companies in the world. How can you not know this stuff?" Intern, uncertain and scared. "I'm sorry, I'm thinking. We have a buy rating?" VP with voice raised. "What is our price target? What are the catalysts coming up? How has the stock been trading? Come on." The intern can't take the heat and nothing comes out of her mouth. She starts to tear up and runs out of the room. The open meeting was an interrogation chamber where the meeting chairs tried to push you to the limit, to test your knowledge on a number of fronts. First and most basic was your market knowledge. You might be asked, where is the S&P 500 trading? Or why was crude oil down 3% today? Or why did Alan Greenspan lower interest rates? There was no cut and dried way to prep for what they were going to ask. The second category was Goldman Sachs history. I was relieved when they asked questions like, when was the firm founded? By whom? Who were all the senior partners from 1960 until today? Who is the current CFO of the firm? I knew it all. I'd learned that Goldman had had some iconic leaders, such as Sidney Weinberg, the man who engineered the initial public offering of Ford Motors, and John Whitehead, who, after retiring as co-senior partner, served in the State Department and was chairman of the New York Federal Reserve. I knew about its many admirable policies. For example, for many years, the firm never advised on hostile takeovers because it believed this to be bad business that would significantly detract from its clients' trust. The third category of questions at the open meetings aimed to test our knowledge of current management and our understanding of the business. The meeting leaders would fire out the questions. How does a trader quantify risk? What does a derivative salesperson do? Who are the 2 managing directors who run the credit derivatives trading group? What's the difference between market making on the NASDAQ and the NYSE? Which partner runs the emerging markets group globally? The point of the meetings, we gradually found out, was to teach us how to behave when we were on the phone being grilled by a tough client. And Goldman had a lot of very tough clients. The biggest mistake you can make in an open meeting was to fluff an answer and then try to wing it. The people who did that were often the people who ended up crying. The most intimidating meeting leader was a senior VP named Valentino Carlotti. Val was a walking contradiction, very harsh in the open meetings. Some of the moderators would joke around.